There exists a liquid that costs around $3 at any hardware store and can do the same thing as a $5,000 paint restoration. It bonds to oxidized clear coat at a molecular level and rebuilds the surface from within without sanding, without professional polishing, without a paint booth, without a painter. A retired chemist in Ohio used it on a 1986 Corvette that had been abandoned in an open field for 11 years. The hood was completely white, like dried cement. The fenders were peeling like skin burned by the sun. He applied 3 coats with a foam brush in his own garage. It took less than 40 minutes. 6 years later, the Corvette still shines as if it had just rolled off the assembly line in Bowling Green. The automotive body industry in the United States generates more than $48 billion a year. Nearly 70% of that money does not come from accidents. It comes from cosmetic work, paint restoration, scratches, oxidation. A 3 bottle that eliminates one of their most profitable services cannot become public knowledge. They didn't stop recommending it because it failed. They stopped mentioning it because it worked too well. A solution that anyone can apply at home cannot be sold as a service. And what cannot be sold as a service does not generate recurring revenue. This is the story of the cheapest liquid in automotive history, and of the $48 billion machine that made sure you would never hear about it. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe and turn on the bell. Here we open the vaults that billion-dollar industries sealed shut forever. In 1903, a German chemist named Friedrich Ballner was working in a coatings laboratory near Stuttgart. His employer was a railway company responsible for maintaining locomotives exposed to harsh alpine weather. His job was to develop industrial lacquers capable of withstanding freezing rain, intense UV radiation, and constant vibration of moving metal. During an experiment with diluted acrylic resins, he noticed something strange. When certain formulations were diluted, almost to the consistency of water, their behavior changed completely. Instead of staying on the damaged surface, the liquid penetrated the microfractures of the clear coat and began to harden from the inside outward. Ballner called this process capillary resin infiltration. The idea was elegant, and the science was completely solid. Oxidized paint develops thousands of microchannels when ultraviolet radiation breaks the polymer chains on the surface. These channels act like microscopic capillaries. A liquid that is thin enough can flow into them due to surface tension. If that liquid contains a resin that cross-links as it dries, it permanently fills those fractures, restoring the structural integrity of the coating. The railway company immediately tested the method on a Class P8 locomotive. It had spent 9 full winters exposed on alpine routes. The Prussian red paint had turned dull orange and was completely cracked. After 2 applications of diluted acrylic resin applied with cotton cloths, the metal fully regained its original shine. Photographs of the experiment still exist in the historical archive of Deutsche Bahn in Nuremberg, but this is where the story changes completely. Ballner did not work for the automotive industry, he worked for the railway. And railways have a different economic model. They want to restore surfaces because repainting entire locomotives is extremely expensive. Restoring paint saves money. That is why the European railway system quickly adopted this technique. But when the automotive industry exploded in the United States during the 1920s, paint technology took a completely different path. Henry Ford once said a famous phrase, "You can have any color as long as it is black." That black was a nitrocellulose lacquer designed to dry quickly on the assembly line, not to last decades under the sun. The paint degraded in just 3 to 5 years. For the automotive industry, that was not a problem, it was an advantage. A car whose paint deteriorates needs to be repainted, and repainting is a service. A service generates revenue, and revenue builds industries. Permanent solutions only generate a one-time payment. By 1952, the auto body sector in the United States had already standardized a process. Sand the entire surface, apply primer paint, multiple layers in a booth, and seal with clear coat. That process can require between 8 and 40 hours of labor. Today, the average price ranges between $1,500 and $5,000. Some luxury vehicles exceed $8,000. We use cookies. Meanwhile, the principle discovered by Ballner in 1903 still works perfectly. Modern chemistry has even made it cheaper. The active compound is an acrylic copolymer resin suspended in a volatile solvent. When applied to oxidized paint, the solvent opens the microscopic pores of the damaged clear coat. The resin molecules penetrate those pores, driven by surface tension, exactly as Ballner described more than a century ago. When the solvent evaporates, the molecules cross-link, bonding with the original polymer chains of the clear coat. It does not sit on top like wax. It does not temporarily fill like silicone polishes. It integrates structurally with the surface, restoring the clear coat from within. This is not a surface coating, it is molecular restoration. And anyone can do it for less than $3. But what the industry did next is even more interesting. A study published in the Journal of Coatings Technology in 2003 tested this phenomenon. Researchers at the University of Southern Mississippi exposed painted steel panels to intense UV radiation, simulating 8 years of direct sunlight. All of them developed severe oxidation, white and dull. The researchers applied diluted acrylic resin to half of the panels. The other half received commercial polish. After 72 hours, the panels with resin recovered 80% of the original gloss. The polished panels only recovered 34%. 6 months later, the polished panels had completely oxidized again. The ones treated with resin maintained their shine for the full 3 years of the study. The researchers concluded that capillary resin infiltration was superior to all abrasive methods. The study was published, peer-reviewed, and cited in later research, but completely ignored by the automotive industry. If you made it this far, you now know more about paint chemistry than 99% of car owners. And that is exactly what scares the industry. An informed customer is a customer who never returns to the shop. Compared to a $2,000 repaint, this solution costs less than $3 and can be applied in your own garage. That's why it disappeared from the conversation. Not through bans, but through silence. The most profitable lies in any industry are the ones that never need to be said out loud. If this knowledge helped you today, subscribe and share it with someone who is about to spend thousands repainting their car. Every time you share this video, a vault opens that the industry tried to close forever. The next vault opens soon, and what's inside will make this story seem like just the beginning.